Hello everyone, welcome to Gamebcn 5 Demo Day. My name is Rock and I'll be hosting this gaming event where 5 indie teams will present the games they have been working in for the last 6 months. As a gamer and a gaming YouTuber myself, I love what Gamebcn is doing. It is a great opportunity for indie developers to become real video game professional studios. And you will be wondering, what the hell is Gamebcn? Well, let's find out. This is Gamebcn. Now let me introduce you Oscar Saún, Gamebcn program manager, who will explain way better than me how they can help you make your dreams come true. And please feel free to leave any questions you may have in the chat so the Gamebcn staff or the teams themselves can answer them easily. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you, Rock. Welcome everyone to Gamebcn 5 Demo Day. Hello, developers, publishers, partners, friends. Let me briefly explain you what we do at Gamebcn for those who doesn't know yet. Gamebcn is an incubation program based in Barcelona and is mainly sponsored by the Catalan government and Barcelona municipality and the consultancy firm Peninsula. We also have some industry partners like Marvelous, Social Point and Gameloft. And we also count with the support of Tangram Solutions and Wacom. What we do every year, we select some teams with talent and commitment, not only to develop a video game, but to create a video game studio. And we look for that special games having some different things, even the art, the narrative, the new mechanics, but they must be special somehow. And what we do at Gamebcn? So we offer training mainly in 2 pillars, production and business, because indie developers, they know really good how to develop, but they don't know how to do it efficiently. And they have a game that they must sell, and we will teach them how to do that. We also organize mentoring sessions with industry professionals. We offer working space, but next year we are going to offer the opportunity to indie studios to do the online version of the program, so it's easier for foreign studios to join the program. We also organize meetings and events monthly to promote networking in the industry, and we also organize a demo day where the games will pitch their games in front of a panel of experts. And of course, we attend to Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show and other international conferences to give visibility to our teams. We have a lot of publishers interested in Gamebcn because they have seen there is talent coming out from the program. Some success cases we had here are Aragami, Stay, Etherborn, Endling that is coming out next year. So after 4 editions, we have helped 26 teams. They have signed 13 publishing agreements and they have raised more than 2.5 million euros. So just stay tuned because there is a lot to win participating in Gamebcn. Thanks, Rock.
Thanks, Oscar. As you can see, a lot of big companies are behind this initiative, as well as publishers looking for good games. I'm also looking for good games because, you know, I like playing video games and I like streaming while doing it. So maybe I can find something interesting and be the first one to stream it instead of being, you know, the millionth creator streaming Fortnite. Who knows? Well, let's get into it. In the following hour, 5 indie teams will pitch their projects. And after each presentation, experts from Social Point, Gameloft, and THQ Nordic will share their knowledge and experience with us, launching questions to the teams and giving feedback to them. This year, we have the pleasure to welcome these industry professionals as part of the panel experts. Let's meet them.
Hi, my name is Enric Soler, and I'm working as product manager in Monster Legends, which is a monster collection game from the company Social Point that is based in Barcelona. As a product manager, I work in trying to figure out what are the best features that we can build into the game and passing this information on to developers in a way that they can work with this. I'm also temporarily working as lead game designer in the same game, and our main challenge right now is to try to build synergies between the Department of Product and the Department of Game Design in Monster Legends.
I am Javier Montoria. I am senior game designer in THQ Nordic studio here in Barcelona, and we are working the remake of the Gothic game.
Hello, I'm Mathieu Brossard. I'm the publishing director for What Games. What Games is a publishing division for Gameloft. We specialize in free-to-play mobile games, mostly on casual and mid-core.
Thank you very much for being here. And without further ado, let's start with team's presentation. Our first team is 3 Bytes, a small indie team located in Barcelona. And they bring the Pizza Situation, a fresh indie game with strong story, new mechanics, and a lot of marketing potential. The team's background in digital media and screenwriting means they craft their content to be especially engaging, fun, and with an underlying critical view on current matters. With very charismatic characters, it has been awarded for its creative take on gameplay and its critical and ironic view on topics like harassment and overall internet culture.
All right, so the Pizza Situation is a game that could be very easily summed up into a Hitman meets Facebook. So the game is a social network simulator where you have to investigate and manipulate to achieve your ultimate goal, which is pizza. So of course the game is very humorous. It is a parody of online culture with that layer of criticism about how easy it is to use and misuse information nowadays. Plot-wise, the game, you play as Ronnie Mozzarella, who's the biggest freak of pizza that you can imagine. So you've been invited to a party where a very special pizza will be served, which of course has to be for you. However, there is a problem, which is that other people go to parties and those people eat pizza. So you start freaking out. You start thinking that other people will eat your pizza and that's something you cannot allow. So of course you do what any normal person would do. You look for those people online and try to prevent them from going to the party. So you can try many things. You can break friendships, you can find them a better plan, and as long as you get your goal, everything is fair game. So here I'm going to show you a small trailer of what we have. Okay, as we've seen, gameplay-wise, you have to play detective. The goal is to compare information across different networks. Some are public, some are private, and some are anonymous, so you have to find the secrets, both of your target and their surrounding social circles. One of the key pillars of the game is information itself. So we treat it as we treat an object in any game. So anything you see, you can save and you can post. So any text, any images, any names, you can save that and you can use that. You can share it privately through chat, which is also one of our pillars in this game. We have a very complex system that really delivers on these characters and emotional beats that we're trying to do. And on the other hand, we also have multiple storylines with different endings, so there's an element of replayability that's very rewarding. So what we bring with this game is especially a ton of humor and a ton of style. We believe this game is very marketable, and it has a strong appeal with the art style and the characters. Beyond that, we're also bringing a lot of world building, a lot of secrets, a lot of drama. We want to reward exploration because we believe it's a very strong point to build a community around to find all those little secrets and tidbits. The game also has several dark twists. Of course, everything you do will not be the most moral, so there are consequences to some of your actions. Which, coming back to this critical view I was mentioning before, we want this game to be meaningful. We want it to be able to start discussion around certain topics. And most of all, we want it to be very focused on characters. We're making them very deep, very layered. People really feel a very strong engagement with them. So we believe that's a very strong point. In terms of comparable games, here's a small collage of games that we relate to. The ones we relate to the most are Orwell for the whole social network simulation stuff, Do Not Feed the Monkeys for the stalking and humor bit, and also Monster Prom for the very young and internet-y tone and the huge character focus. So in terms of numbers, we expect the game to be finished in 13 months, and we'd need a budget of 300K, which a bulk of that is going towards art and animation, but we believe this is one of our strongest appeals, so we're putting a lot into that. About us, we're 3 Bytes from Barcelona. The founders, Andrea and I, have been working together for a long time. Our background comes from media, communication, and screenwriting, so we're very confident that we can deliver the whole narrative, the deeper characters, and the emotional bits and engagement that our game is all about. We also have Fernando working on our sound and music, and these 3 amazing artists that are delivering and bringing everything to life. In terms of awards and recognition, we have already won several awards, even with the earliest prototype without any art assets. And the one that has been the most meaningful to us has been the Spanish Video Game Association Award for Innovative Game Mechanics, which gave us 6,000 euros that we reinvested into making this current vertical slice. We were also selected to go to the European Game Showcase, which sadly got cancelled. And right now we're just finishing our stay at Gamebcn's incubation program. And finally, what's most important is what we're looking for. We're looking for funding and localization support. Since our game is very heavily narrative, we expect the game to have around 120,000 words by the end of it. We'd need a lot of experience behind us in terms to deliver that. We'd also be very grateful with marketing and QA support. In terms of marketing, we already have a ton of ideas, but having this experienced hand would help us a lot. And of course, having a good relationship and communication going both ways, we believe is very important. So thank you very much for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Wow, this game looks, you know, what YouTubers do. I may need to play it to find new ways to increase my followers count. By the way, true story, I used the Hypnotoad to reach my first 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, and if you got that reference, I love you. Well, let's see if the experts have any questions for you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. That was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. It looks amazing, and the idea is quite innovative. And I have to say that I've never played anything like this, though it may not surprise you. Though I have to say that there is one main concern that I have with your pitch, and that is it seems to point to a niche of audience, and I am concerned about that, whether you've investigated it and how will you reach it. So my first question to you would be, you mentioned a set of compatible games in your pitch. Have you managed to get any information on whether people that play those games could also be interested in the pizza situation?
We do really believe so, since all those games are comparable for certain different aspects of them. So, of course, we have tested our game already with over 100 players. We have also asked them questions about the sort of games they play. We really do believe there's an overlap in this target regarding those types of game. So we are confident that how they perform can really translate to our sort of game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds nice. And you also partially answered one of the questions that I had, which was, did you get any learnings from the prototype that you made? That being said, my next question is, coming from the mobile industry, to me it seems like your development process is lengthy, which might not be the case, but it is from my perspective. And in those cases, what we try to do is to get as many learnings as possible along the way. So I would like to know, are you planning on iterating on the concept and adding more learnings as you go?
I mean, of course, we're always taking feedback and improving what we can on our game. I do not believe it is too lengthy regarding PC. But yeah, with everything, we're always testing, asking people who have played, and creating even a small community on what they find the most engaging about our game, right? And enhancing all those pros to the max so that they can enjoy it as they wish. And then, yeah, of course, things that we receive feedback that's not working so much, of course, we will iterate further and work on that a lot so that it can be at their expectations.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for answering my questions, and I hope the best for you and your game.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hitman meets Facebook is a very interesting concept, but I am afraid that there are many cases for these mechanics. Have you think about how many ways to solve each puzzle you have designed?
Yeah, as I said, we use information as an object, so that's what you use to solve all the puzzles. So for each puzzle, we know exactly which items of information will advance it forward, which items will give you hints on how to advance it forward, or which items will even cancel the quest depending on what you do. So in that matter, we do have a lot of margin to work with that, and it's pretty easy to adapt on that matter.
So it sounds great, and I have to say that the visual style is stunning.
Thank you, Anna, for your presentation. I really like the fun art direction, especially in the concepts. It's a very attractive world you created. To us, it sounds like a very narrative game, and we know there is an audience eager for new content right there. The question I have is have you tried contacting narrative companies or apps which may publish your game inside their own app, where they already have quite a lot of people interested in this type of content?
That's a very good point. We haven't contacted to put the game inside narrative apps, so that's something that we might look into. But we of course favor working with partners that have experience with the whole narrative games, and they have the target already directed into that. But yeah, thank you for the suggestion. We can look into that. So thanks.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Good luck.
Thank you for your contributions. Next team, Arrowfist Games, a company born after a long night of partying with one goal: make new and creative games. And they are, roguelike lovers. So they took current roguelike games, deconstructed them, and make a new game with innovation in every aspect of it. Let's see.
Hello, I'm Mario, co-founder of Arrowfist Games, and I'm here to show you Deflector, a non-linear roguelike dungeon crawler game with a unique combat system mechanic based on deflecting, and the ability to mix DNA to create whatever skill and power you want. But okay, what makes Deflector different? Well, actually Deflector has three main pillars, which are deflecting, the combat mechanic, then the level hub, which is how we organize the levels, and then the DNA system, which is how are we doing the skills. So I'm going to speak to you about them all. First of all, the combat system is based on a not so common weapon, which is the boomerang, which the cool thing is that you throw it, and of course, when it comes back, you need to hit it in the exactly right moment to throw it, deflecting to your enemies, making like this a really fast-paced and frenetic gameplay mechanic. Then we have the level hub. Here, Mostly all the roguelikes do the same thing. You have level 1, after level 2, after level 3, and it's kind of aligned. And we said like, hey, why not to give the player the right to move more freely around the world? And so we did. In Deflector, the player needs to complete 5 levels, but he can choose in which order to complete them. Like this, we add more freedom to the player, and it allows us to introduce Metroidvania mechanics inside the roguelike game. Meaning that, depending on which order they complete the levels, they will be able to access different areas or to lock different things. And last, but not least, is the skill management. Here, as I was saying, most of the roguelikes work the same way. You get one skill, and you use his power, and that's all. And we said like, okay, let's make it different. So instead of giving the skill to the player, what we are giving to them is pieces. In our case, is DNA, based on the narrative. And the cool thing is that they can put them in this physical table, and when they put one in the top of each other, they combine, create a completely new skill. And like this, we leave the player to create his own build. And okay, let's get a bit into business. There's a bit of our market analysis that we did with several titles that had been released during the previous years. And there are numbers like average sales, average revenue. But the important thing is that based on these numbers, we designed our business plan, which is a premium business model. We are targeting mid-core, hardcore players between 15, 35 years who love RPG and roguelike games, of course. And we are willing to use as distribution platform the digital market, meaning Steam, Epic Store, and as well consoles, mostly Switch. And then our marketing strategy is based on social networks and, of course, in one of the most powerful weapons right now in the video game industry, which is Twitch and the streamers. Our production plan. Well, right now we are on the vertical slice. We have a playable demo finished, and we expect that for the whole game it will take us around 2 years. So if we start doing the following months, it will be an expected release of September 2022. And for the whole production, we are looking for an investment of 320,000 euros. But well, the cool thing is that based on our market analysis, if we sell around 200,000 units at a price of 17 euros, we will get a revenue the first year of 1,850,000 euros. And this will not stop here, of course. After release of the game, we will have already prepared some additional content to release, like players, more levels, then port to consoles if we haven't already done it for the release, and even if the game is such a success, a multiplayer game mode. And well, finally, we are Heroquest Games. We are 4 members right now, 2 programmers, 2 artists. The role of game design is divided between 2 of us. Then we have external collaborators doing us the music and the user interface, and we are looking for 2 more members to join the team for the whole production of the game. And that's all for us, and we'll leave you with our trailer of Deflector.
Well, this game is frenetic. It seems like, you know, a game designed for experienced players willing to kill anything moving. And when I say experience, I don't mean old like me. I mean like, you know, a 13-year-old guy with hours of gaming in his hands, you know, that would be just fine. Okay, let's see what the experts think about it.
The 3 pillars of your game sounds awesome. I think the way of perks creation is very interesting because you will allow the player to make a lot of variations. But also I think in the level design you have to give them the opportunity to try this. And this becomes me to the question about the level design, because you talk about the levels are interrelated, but the player doesn't know the order of the levels. So I want to ask you if the levels are procedural, or you have to create the levels one by one in order to create more importation to the perks of the game.
Well, actually, the levels are procedural, but the player indeed knows what are inside of them, because each of them it has a particular ambience. So once they play several times, they will know each other, how they work, what mechanics have inside. So usually they will be able to choose the path they want to take, and they will know exactly what there's inside, even though the rooms are changing.
Okay, so the levels are procedural for each run or for the entire game? So the player has the info to know what to do, or has to explore every time?
No, he will need to explore every time, because even though, as I said, they know what there's inside the rooms, the distribution of them, they will be procedural, so they will find different enemies and different things, so every time the experience will be different.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. That looks quite nice, and the gameplay seems to be quite hectic and frenzied, which is something that I enjoy from time to time. I see that you focused the potential for the game's success into 3 main pillars, right? And I am concerned about an issue with this, and I would like to know your thoughts about this, which is how are you going to test whether the changes in these 3 pillars are actually improvements from the perspective of the audience of roguelike games, and how early do you want to test these assumptions?
Well, actually, we'll do it through doing testings. We'll do several iterations with abilities, and we'll try to just build test after test, and to make everything completely balanced, so it works.
Mm-hmm. So you're planning on doing beta testing or some sort of soft launch to get data from the audience to see if that actually makes an impact, right?
Yeah, exactly. Every several time we'll do one build and test, because we'll do several skills, we'll test them, and when everything is packed and it's ready to be unplayed, we'll move to the next skills, and we'll go so on.
Okay, sounds fair. Thank you. And then I also want to dig a bit into the market analysis. I saw that you made some very nice market analysis, which, by the way, is something that I really liked in the pitch, because it helps me a lot understand what kind of business we're dealing with. And judging from the data, I assume that you've gathered data from games that are quite successful in the indie landscape. And I would like to know, have you looked at games that aimed at doing what you're doing but are not as successful? Or in other words, have you tried to look for what made these games fail to try to avoid it?
Yeah, actually, we would check for different games. Even the biggest success, we remove them, like Dead Cells and this type, or Enter the Canyon, and we check smaller games like Scorebringer or other this type like this. And in this case, we didn't check. We know there are a lot of failures because there are plenty of rogues in the market, but we think the numbers are inside what we are looking for, and we think they suit what we are looking.
Okay, fair enough. Sounds reasonable. Thank you for your answers, and I wish you the best in your game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and let's move on to the next theme. Lately, we have seen a lot of action roguelike genre games settling down to mobile platforms, but we have yet to see that free-to-play game that allows the player to choose their way through the game and fight alongside heroes that fits them best. That's why Ellipsis Game started its own quest to develop Heroquest.
Hi, first of all, thank you for being here. Let me ask you a question. What would happen if Arturo meets the Binding of Isaac, but in a Brawl Stars art style? Well, that's exactly what Heroquest is all about. Fight alongside unique heroes, choosing your own path to complete challenging dungeons, and claim epic rewards to customize your hero's progression inside and outside the run. But well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So I hope our trailer explains itself a million times better. As you have seen, we're quite inspired by Arturo's core gameplay, but took a step further in order to aim for mid-core RPG players who want to make meaningful decisions in their game. This is shown in the diverging map layout in every dungeon, with the special rooms that will change the player's run's outcome significantly. Moreover, players will have control over some of these modulations, for example, combining upgrades to get powerful and unexpected synergies in every run they play. And not only that, players will see this versatility enhanced by collecting different heroes, each one of them with unique mechanics, which they can expand even further by upgrading their stats and unlocking exclusive abilities in their character's talent tree. All of this, combined with a cartoon and colorful art style, creates a challenging, engaging, and dynamic game. To ensure our game's success, we firmly believe that a good test market is key for global launch. In our soft launch, we will look for stability, a good first-time user experience, and a good daily retention, so we can check our game core loop health. We'll also look not only for our underperforming products, but also for those that are overperforming as well, so we can analyze why and enhance this performance even more. We plan on keeping track of KPIs, of revenue KPIs, such as the percentage of buyers on the player's 7-day and the revenue not spent at the end of the first week. Finally, we would also like to go for a dynamic bidding model, in which we want to keep the CPI as low as possible and the lifetime value as high as we can, but never forgetting about the ROAS, as we firmly believe that this is the #1 KPI for a good performing free-to-play game. About our business model, Heroquest is mainly based on in-app purchases and free rewarded video ads, with constant updating live ops that will aim to increase our users' seniority retention. Heroquest has an engaging core loop that encourages players to progress through the game. We'll aid this progression by adding promotional offers and personalized bundles depending on the user's response. Also, Heroquest one of the main features of Heroquest is a monetization gacha system, in which players can collect different heroes with different mechanics, playstyles, and cosmetics. This gacha system will be strongly supported in the live ops by letting players choose a hero they have yet to purchase in a single game, in which we will encourage an in-game fantasy to make this character look more appealing to the players. About our roadmap, so far we have reached a vertical slice in 6 months, in which we have managed to prepare a prototype that we think it reflects the main key features of our game, while setting a solid framework to prepare us to make more content much faster. So with that, our main plan is to have a minimum value product in November, a soft launch 2 months later, and release finally Heroquest on April with a fully set live ops. About us, we are a group of 3 people. We are Ellipsis Games, and we have made another project before, which is an idle clicker. But before going on soft launch, we were contacted by Gamebcn to start the incubation program, and so we had to let it on standby. And to reach our goal, we are looking for $180,000 of development funding. Basically, we aim to increase our team up to 7 people, deliver a good social campaign, and seek other outsourcing services such as QA or localization. We also are looking for funding in terms of user acquisition, and we also are looking for advice and criticism from experienced people in the industry who can take our game into the next level. And that would be it. Thank you for listening to this presentation. And we leave here our mail in case you want to try out our build. And thank you very much.
I know what's going to happen if I play this game. I'm going to choose my fighters depending on how much I like the art and its personality. No wonder why I'm such a bad player of this type of games. Well, anyway, experts, what questions do you have?
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Heroquest sounds quite interesting, and it's building on an idea that took the mobile market by storm, so obviously it's going to generate a lot of interest. There are a couple of things with your pitch and with the game that concern me, and I would like you to answer some questions. The first one would be, considering that you plan to develop something quite complete by launch date, do you plan on keeping some time to be able to iterate on the core features as you approach soft launch and get some data from the users?
Yeah, we know that our schedule is quite tight, so what we thought about doing is that we want to keep the core game as simple as possible, keep adding features as live ops, but then keep them finally adding them in the core gameplay.
So you're saying that you're going to test the features as if they are a temporal event, and if they work, if they are successful, you're going to make them something permanent in the game.
Yeah, that's it.
That's quite interesting. Okay. And there's another thing that concerns me with the game, and I think this is probably the obvious thing, which is you're trying to enter a crowded market where there's a lot of games competing for this position following the success of Archero. And I would like to know how you plan to differentiate yourself from all these copies of Archero that are putting a lot of money into making a successful game.
Okay, so we want to enter a market for mid-core RPG players who are more or less have been playing some roguelikes, and we want to differentiate from Archero by adding a lot of versatility that it shows in the maps, because there will be different paths for the player to choose. Also, there will be different characters with unique mechanics and different playstyles, so every player can choose whoever the character that he feels more comfortable with. And we also have different upgrades that will combine in unique synergies depending on the combination, so that's always a lot of versatility that the player can choose between two.
Okay. Yes, sounds like you're striving to differentiate from Archero, and it seems like you have a lot of ideas on how to succeed in that. I'm going to be a bit picky just for this time, and I would like to know, how are you going to be able to tell if this differentiation is actually an advantage, and not only towards Archero, but to all the competitors that have followed them, because there's a lot of copies, and probably one of them is going to be quite similar to you. I haven't really done the analysis, though.
So we plan on adding KPIs to keep track of these differentiations and see which ones work and which don't. And that's how we will keep track of if our game is suitable for the target we are aiming for.
Okay, sounds reasonable. Thank you for answering my questions, and I wish you the best of luck in your launch and in the game in general.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My main concern is about the time to market of your project. You're coming after quite a few other spin-offs of Archero, so I would advise you emphasize a lot on what is your differentiating factor and how that can help you in marketing in the future. And also maybe consider other type of gameplays with the same character design you've already done. Maybe look at Almost a Hero or Non-Stop Night as inspiration.
So, yeah, well, in our game, we take inspiration from art-wise, we take inspiration from Brawl Stars. And also, in terms of gameplay, we want to make characters different, not only from their mechanics side, but also from their genre. Like, for example, we have some characters that come from like a steampunk world, but others that will come from more like a fantasy world and so on. So they will be quite different between each other.
Thank you for explaining. I'm sure all these different genres will help you in the future, and best of luck.
Your game looks awesome and also looks a very small and self-contained game. And it's cool because it looks that you can create a lot of new content, and it will be very linked to the live ops. So I think you have to emphasize what makes you different. And also this is one of my questions about how you will link this new content and the progression with the monetization of the live ops.
Well, our monetization is mainly based on the gacha system. And so we will base that on acquiring new characters and upgrading them and unlocking new abilities and so on. But we also center the monetization in the progression part, and we will try to make the players progress in the run, feel encouraged to go on, and with that we will offer them promotional offers and personalized bundles in the game.
So you will focus your live ops more in customization or more in player progression? What will be your focus?
Definitely in player progression, as we think that our versatility comes from this part, and by making different paths of progression in the characters will make the player feel more like their character is unique to them.
Sounds great. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
4 talentful, elegant, and extremely sexy game developers were given the opportunity to write their own presentation, as you might have guessed. They are Hive 5 Games, and they're about to show you an explosive mix of monsters, memory mechanics, and 1,000 hours of sleep deprivation.
Hello everybody, we're Hive 5 Games, and we're here to present you Monster Token. Now, Monster Token is a 1v1 PvP multiplayer mobile game based around hunters. Now, you get the role of a hunter who deals another hunter for glory. The base of the game is really simple. In fact, it's based on the game memory, which is making pairs. You have a board filled with tokens, and you make pairs with tokens in order to defeat your enemy. Now, that's the casual part of the game. Then there's the depth of the game, the strategy part, which are monsters. Now, each monster has its unique skill. Now we can see Gasp in here, who's a ghost. Now, Gasp allows you to flip a token without your rival seeing it, and does a good amount of damage. Now, each monster has its unique skill. Some monsters may heal you, some others may damage all the enemies, and even yourself, and even shuffle the board. So it's like the memory game, but you have to pick the pairs that you make in order to defeat your opponent. Now, for a player itself, we have 2 targets split. The first one is the casual part. That's the memory. It's like, oh, I see this game. I like the concept, and it's really simple. You just make pairs. And that's meant for the organic acquisition. It's really easy to get the attention of a player, of a potential player. And then we have the hardcore part, which is meant around the retention. Now, a player jumps into a game and sees that there are monsters that have different skills, there are monsters that may be appealing to them, and just generates enough interest for the player to keep playing through the days. Now, the main objective in this game is climbing to the top. You start in a basic arena, which is a forest based around European folklore with ghosts, vampires, Frankensteins, and then you keep jumping up through different arenas, Greek arenas with gods, minotaurs, Japanese arenas, until you reach the top one. Now, this is a really good incentive for players, because if a player is really fond of Japanese culture and really enjoys it, they can try to reach that arena to unlock the monsters and the avatars. Now, for a game itself, this is the core loop of the game. You make pairs, you use the powers, and you defeat the enemy. But outside of a match itself, it's the following. You win or lose a match and earn rewards. And then you spend those rewards to build your deck and keep winning matches, adding a little bit more of depth into the game, because you can pick the avatar and the monsters that you want to bring. Now, for the rewards themselves, we have 3 main types. The first one is soft currency, used for general purpose and leveling up. Then we have the tokens themselves, unlocking them and leveling them up. And then we have the soft currency, the hard currency, which is used for the acceleration of the progress and can be purchased with real money. Now, for the tokens themselves, and let's jump now into a little more game design-wise part. Now, if I have a level 8 Gasp, and I bring him into the game, and you have a level 4 Gasp, the person who finds it will trigger it at his level, or her level. Let's say that you find it, it's going to be a level 4 Gasp. If I find it, it's going to be a level 8 Gasp. What this means is that it's not a good idea to only level up 1 token, because if I find it and I have the highest level, it's going to be very powerful, but then your objective will be to deny me this token, because it's really powerful. And this creates a kind of dynamism to make each game different depending on the token levels. Now, for the future content, we have new hunting arenas, which mean new monsters and new hunters. Here we have some concept art of those. For example, you can see the Greek arena on the top, and next to it, the Japanese arena with all the monsters, all the arenas, and really keep generating content to keep the player interested in it. Then we have different rewards. You can see here a lot of gestures. Each one can be related to an event in the game. And then last but not least, personalization. Since this is a kind of mid-core, hardcore game that relies in competition and dueling, people like to show off, so we give the opportunity them to do so with card backs and skins. Now, for Demonetization, this is a free-to-play game. The free part is based around loot boxes, events, and hunting areas. Let's say an event, for example, at Christmas, Santa Claus appears, and if you defeat him, you can play as Santa Claus, as an actual playable avatar. And then for hunting arenas, we have different thoughts about it. For example, there's a dragon that appears only on weekends, and you can fight it once in order to earn the loot. So you have that area of hunting that you can experience once in a week as a free-to-play player. Then for the premium part, the strongest one is the Battle Pass. Now the Battle Pass allows us to collect money because it's only purchasable with real-world money, but it also encourages the player to play more the game because the rewards are only unlocked through playtime. So this is a win-win situation for us. Okay, now that we're done with monetization, let's jump into production itself. As you can see here, we're aiming to release on May 2021 with a budget of 115,000 euros. Yes, and this budget is meant to develop like this. As we can see now, we have a vertical slice, which you can play right now. We also have the trailer and all the stuff. And we'll jump into development if we find the funding. Now, the development lasts 4 months. And in those 4 months, our main efforts will be developing the rest of the content, which are the new arenas, new hunters, and basically all the fleshed out content, and the backend, which means cloud services, database, and all that stuff. We'll aim for a soft launch on February, and then fine-tune the game until May, which we want to make the full release. Now, we are on the end of the presentation, but we've seen Cas before when I explained the monsters. I'm just gonna give you 10 seconds so you can think about where he is. Okay. It's a little game that we have here in this page. Right, so I'm gonna show the results. Cas was hidden in here. Now the aim of those 2 slides were to show that the core of the game, the memory one, is so casual that can even be played here in a pitch. So we encourage you to try the game. This is the organic acquisition part. That's really powerful. You can contact us in any of those networks, and you can also follow the development almost daily in Instagram and Twitter. Now, I'm gonna leave you with the trailer so you get a flavor of the game. And yep, this Monster Token.
Once upon a time, a village was attacked by a plague of monsters. Nearby hunters tried to fight them, but surprisingly they became friends. And since everyone helps each other to win power and recognition, everyone but the king of monsters himself. Hey, it's him! Let's get him! Token.
Do you remember what this game is about? I don't remember. I have to play it in order to improve my memory because it's not as good as it was before. What I was saying? Ah, okay, yeah. Let's ask the experts. Let's see if they remember what they were going to ask. Let's see.
My main concern about your game is a mismatch between a very casual action phase with the memory and some very hardcore mechanics, closer to what you would find typically in Hearthstone, for example, like skills for monsters and PvP. It's likely that the audience who enjoy both is fairly limited, and that makes it harder to market. Also attracting mid-core to hardcore players with a mechanic like memory is really difficult as well. So I was wondering, have you considered other mechanics where you could use the monster skills, something maybe closer to a board game such as Munchkin?
Okay, so now that you mentioned that, Monster Token started as a board game, and since we saw the engagement in it and the fast games, we've decided to port it to a mobile. So about the casual part of the game, which is making pairs, and the strategy-wise one, which are the monster skills. In fact, you have to read the monster skills, so that's already kind of mid-core, hardcore. We're aiming for a split target audience. First of all, the casual part generates the organic acquisition. So this game is very easy for someone to try it since it's just making pairs. They see this, and then they find the, let's say, depth of the game when they say, okay, so I'm low on health, I'm gonna find monsters that heal me, or you're low on health, I'm gonna find monsters that damage everyone or damage you. So that's the main part where we're gonna harvest as many audience as we can with the core mechanic, the casual one, and then generate retention on the users that find that engaging, which will be the ones that will be mid-core and hardcore. That's why it's split, because the objective of each one is different. The first one is to generate users and basically attract people to the game and keep it simple. And then the other one is to generate retention, make each game different through the combinations of the skills.
Okay, thank you for explaining. It's a challenging approach, but sure can use a test.
Okay, so Monster Token seems like a very interesting gameplay. I've never played the game with this kind of mechanics before, but I'm interested in a couple of things that could potentially be dangerous for the game. On the one hand, I would like to know if there is an audience for this kind of gameplay, and then I'm also interested in seeing how this can be monetized. So addressing the first issue, I would like to know, is there any way for you to test early if there is an audience for your game? And if so, how will you plan to do this?
Now for the audience part, we've focused on games that already exist. You said before, for example, that you're working on a monster game. We also have Monster High here in Barcelona, which was a very successful game. So the first part will be the aesthetics and the thematic. Now, the monster theme that our game has breeds from a lot of cultures. We have the Japanese, European, the sea monsters, and all of this. And we're encouraged to give the player enough culture, enough content, so they can come and say, okay, I want to play this game for the looks and for the monsters that I can find. So I'm curious about what's gonna do the Kraken. Maybe he'll shuffle the board, maybe he'll do a lot of damage. That's one of the parts that we're heavy focused in. So we can create interest in the player, so we don't force them to play. They say, okay, I want to play this game, or at least try it.
Mm-hmm. This seems like a very nice way to go about things, but do you have in mind testing with the player at a very early stage, so to see if they actually enjoy this kind of value that you're trying to put into the game?
We've tested the game, and in the first stages, they're curious to try the game and just say, okay, I wanna find Casp, the ghost, let's see what he does. But then when they keep playing, they start diving into the strategy part and say, okay, I'm low on health, I'm gonna find a token that heals me, for example, the vampire, which also damages you, but in the most important part, heals me. So in the first testing, we saw that the people come for the looks. They say, oh, it make pairs, it's easy. And then they stay for the testing, for the strategy part. So they want to try out new ways to defeat you or new ways to combine the monster's powers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds quite interesting. And then moving on to the second line of questioning, I'm also interested in monetization. I understand that most of the monetization in the game is going to happen by ranking up monsters or leveling them up so that you have more advantages on the gameplay versus other players. Have you tested this also with your audience, if they actually enjoy this and if this is going to be a big enough hook for them to actually play in your game?
We still haven't tested the part of the balance that brings the leveling up, but we've planned on making a deck power. So if you're in a certain arena, you'll be able to bring a certain deck power to the match, or depending also on the level. So we can still have a scaled progression with leveling, but we also can bring some balance into the game without having a newbie player play against someone who has almost all the tokens leveled up at maximum and returns to the game on a casual arena, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. Yeah, it sounds interesting as well. And there is one thing that happened with your game specifically when I was seeing the pitches, and I'm really interested in seeing how you answer to this. And I'm pretty sure you already have an answer, but have you thought about the fact that memory game is something that you can easily cheat on?
Yes, in fact, we were testing it, and a friend of mine said, okay, in another memory game, I just wrote the answers down in a paper, and I beat the machine on the highest level. What I answered was that in our game, making pairs is not, well, yes, the main mechanic, but maybe it's not making all the pairs, it's making the right pairs. So maybe one pair damages you and you're low on health, then you're gonna avoid it. Okay, I know this pair is not gonna work for me, so I gotta search for another one. And that's one part, but yet in this game, at least it's a strategy game in which you have to make pairs. There's a small board. One way to achieve some kind of balance in it would be to shuffle the board every X turns, or creating a lot of tokens which manipulate the board in a way that you're not sure where some token is at the moment, but you can still play it and not feel frustrated because you don't know where anything is.
Okay, it's great to hear that you have this in mind, and it seems like you have some very nice solutions to this issue as well. So with this, all my questions have been answered, so thank you very much.
Thank you too.
I think the idea is very good, and it depends a lot in the card design. That is something that I love. But I have to ask how the player progresses with his rival, because the cards are common. So what is the strategy if you have to share your upgraded cards with your adversary?
Okay, so about sharing cards with the enemy, let's say that I bring Vladimir at level 8, and you have a Vladimir at level 4, who's not in the game, but since I have it in my deck, it's gonna get shuffled. Now, if I find it, it's gonna be a level 8 Vlad, but if you find it, it's gonna be a level 4 Vlad. Now, what does this mean? First of all, it's not a great idea to upgrade only one token. It's a better strategy to upgrade all of them at once, so you can have a more steady deck and defeat your opponents in a more easier way. And also, when you have a very, let's say, high-level token, a very powerful token, my objective will be to make that pair so you don't have it, and you can trigger that high-level skill.
Okay, that sounds good. And also, this triggered me another question that is about the player progression and their cards. So how they are tied? What is the relation between the level of the player and the level of the cards? There is something, some kind of limit, or can be separately? A player can have a very high level card, or just a limit because they level?
Okay, so about the deck itself, the deck will have, we're planning on adding a power level, either for the monster levels or a cap in the level due to player level or arena. So in that case, you won't be able to play against a newbie player with a very strong deck, since the power level between you and the other player will be a huge gap, and the matchmaking system will try to match you against someone with your same power. So at first it's gonna be capped, and then we're planning on releasing it a little more and adding this power level number that will calculate and match you against a better player like you.
Thank you, sounds great.
Thank you. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, it's time for the worst people of the show. They've come here to make you suffer, to make shame on you, and to make you feel uncomfortable. Their name represents perfectly their lack of empathy, kindness, and morals. Please make an effort and give a non-deserved applause to Team Ugly.
Okay, thank you so much. So today we are going to talk about beauty, but not the standard beauty that you're used to. It's a beauty in a perverse way, in a quirky style. We are ugly. Ugly is this guy over here. Look the irony of his life, that he uses a mirror, being the ugliest boy on his LAN. He uses the mirror as the main tool to reflect his ugliness in the other side of the mirror and swap between his reflection. Okay, so look carefully, rear your window, and look the pain and the suffering of this little guy. So, as you have just seen, this game is about finding keys, opening doors, and defeating bosses. That's it. But let me explain a little better. If you mix Braid, Portal, and Cuphead, you will have a similar product as Ugly. From Braid, we take the collecting keys effect, these level designs, the main character, the proportion between the environment. From Portal, we take the mechanics, the feeling, a similar feel in Portal you experience when you have to switch and squeeze your mind to look completely different, all the spices and all the backgrounds. And from Cuphead, as well, we can say from Walt Disney, we take the frame-by-frame animation, these traditional art and crafts made by blood and sweat from our indie team. So here you can see a comparison between the slide before, Braid, Portal, and Cuphead. And now, what's Ugly exactly? Ugly is a 2D platformer. It's dark fantasy, psychologically horror. We are focused on teenagers because they are more suitable to be surprised with this type of mature content. About the duration, 5 hours, more or less, to finish the games at once. And if you want to be the most completist players, you will finish the game in 6 or 7 hours. So, selling points. As you have seen, the mechanics is one of our strongest selling points, mind expanding and never seen before. So let's put this new mechanic in the market. Obviously, it's not just one mechanic. It's a plenty variety of crazy mechanics that is going to be developed from this one. The emotions. We are very concerned to transmit heavy emotions to the players. It's deep narrative, alternative endings, and notice that our main character suffers from narcissistic syndrome and Korsakoff syndrome. But don't be afraid, because I know that we are not psychologists, we are not mental officers, but that's why 2 psychologists are in charge of verifying word by word, frame by frame, all the gameplay to make sure that we are communicating exactly what we want. And the last selling point, handcrafted. Traditional animation, as I say, fully detailed rooms. You can see here 6 different rooms. They are easy to manage, they are thin, they are completely different one between the other. Easy to control in little devices. As well, we have few controls, so it's quite simple to understand. This is one of our bosses. We are going to have 6. Each boss, as well, each mechanic, each room, everything has a lecture in a metaphorical way. I mean that, for example, this is the mummy and represents one of the stages to understand the illness of the main character. So, recap. The game, it's about more than 60 puzzle rooms for mid-core gamers. So, the mainly audience is going to end the game, but we're going to introduce as well secret rooms just for hardcore gamers. So if you are not a hardcore gamer, please don't play these rooms because they are hard and very challenging. So you are going to combine your logic skills and your ability with the controller, and more than 200 objects to play with. When you go to one room to the other, maybe you can find some marbles to play with. You are going to find squirrels, cockroach. You can play with many objects. Play the piano, and then defeat the 6 super huge bosses. So who is in charge of making this game come true? Team Ugly. We are Gerard, David, Jaime, and myself. This is our first game as a team, but don't worry, we are not green. We have experience before as professionals. As we are here in Gamebcn as well, Gerard has more than 10 years animating. David Rodriguez has won twice awards for games for kids in Japan. And myself, I've been featured in Adobe websites. Our main animator has been working in a Game of the Year. So we are in the right hands to make this game come true. And let me introduce now the numbers, reds and greens. Business, what we look for, and obviously what we offer. We look for advice to upgrade our product, funding, QA, ports, and a good potential for marketing. We offer team. Obviously, it's better to have a long-term partnership, revenue share as well, obvious, and this product, and what I think is the most important of Ugly is this strong branding that is going to help your brand to complete and to make a bigger identity. So let's see, here you can see different games in a very positive scenario. They has a similar target audience as Ugly. They are a little quirky, they are a little dark, and they had a very good numbers as well. So what's the price of developing this game? 300,000. Here you can see in this chart how these numbers, this money is distributed. So you are able to deduce where are we focusing on. Art is one of our most important sides of the game because this traditional animation, this frame by frame made by Sweat and Blood, so this is not a low-cost game. This is a premium game. And this is the most important question, I think, to ask ourselves as a team and maybe as a publisher as well. Are we able to sell 30,000 units to recover the product cost? I think yes, but let's go a little further. Imagine a very green, a very fantastic scenario. Let's imagine if we sold 300,000 units. So if we achieve this scenario, we are going to win this fantastic green and beautiful number over here. Pretty, isn't it? And about the production plan, in 1 year. In 1 year, you are going to have Ugly in your living room, seated on your sofa and enjoying this Saturday night with Ugly. 1 year, but without counting ports. This is important as well. And then what? What is going to happen then? What's the life of the product? What is going to happen? I have to say that the game loop of our game, it's super easy. It works as well. We are not inventing anything. It's about 6 hubs. In each hub, you will going to play between 8 and 10 rooms. Then you are going to defeat the boss of this loop and then repeat it 6 times with different bosses, different mechanics, different scenario, different mini games inside, and then the ending. The ending, all the mid-core players are going to finish here, and then just the perfect players are going to repeat the loop because the game is going to change different backgrounds. You are going to play and walk through the palace with different backgrounds, and it's the perfect moment to to achieve, to find the secret rooms, these hardcore rooms only for the true players. So then you are going to achieve the final ending of Ugly. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to us. We are Team Ugly, and we are going to make this game the ugliest game of all the indie atmosphere.
Wow, your game looks really challenging and very beautiful, you know, except for the main character who is really ugly. But no, seriously, I love the mechanics. It's not hard enough when I have to manage one character and now I have to manage two. Well, anyway, I love the game, and let's see what the experts think about it.
Thanks for the presentation. I have seen something very, very interesting. I think the mechanics sounds great and the visuals are very astonishing, so I can't wait to see more. But when you are combining a game with puzzles and some bosses, as you say in your pitch, so I want to ask you how you will combine them, because the pacing of a puzzle game and a platformer is very, very, very different.
Yeah, thank you. That's true. It's very different, and we are not solving to mash it and to have it quite a good combination. We are trying to differentiate each different state. So the emotional chart of the game it has very ups and very downs. So the music and the background is changing depending on the rhythm of the game. So be prepared to suffer, to be relaxed, to be excited, to be happy, to cry, and to have fun.
So the way to create that vibes are more in the storytelling, or you will reflect them in the mechanics of the game? Both.
In the moments with more excitement, in the boss moments, the boss battles, the environment will change and the mechanics are going to have a different behavior as well. You need to have some timing sometimes with the bosses, so it's the same mechanic, but as the environment has changed, the behavior of the mechanic is going to change as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for your response.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation, Rita. For a puzzle game such as yours, we believe the best platform will most likely be the Switch, because that's where we expect the audience who has a liking for this type of gameplay to be. On mobile, it's more of a niche. It would be better addressed through premium, so you would have to pitch to Google and Apple to get people to come in, or premium platforms such as Apple Arcade. We don't see that much of a free-to-play opportunity here. I have a couple of questions though, for curiosity. Can you detail a few of the puzzle mechanics you bring with the mirror?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna dial my two favorite ones. I like a lot what we call the inertia mechanic. We use the mirror and the energy of the gravity to jump and to achieve some places that just swapping won't be reachable. And we have another one. We have plenty of mechanics, but let's summarize one more. We call them the crystals. And when you find in the background some mirror broken or some crystals, the reflection that you invoke with the mirror is going to move. So you will lose the symmetry of the mirror and the reflection. So you have to squeeze your mind to achieve places super hidden using these broken crystals that will break the symmetry and your mind.
Thank you. I can't wait to test them in game. And another question would be, how do you make talking about difficult and complex subjects fun for the player?
Yeah, we are very concerned about it. So because we are talking about quite deep and dark topics, and the story is not a happy one. It's more like a tragedy. So to balance this, we are using, we are cartoonists, we use cartoon style, and also our main character, it's kind of pathetic. He walks and then he falls, he's not very skilled, so he tweets, he's quite funny. So if you are trying, if some drops, if you are trying to cry with the history, suddenly your tears come back to your eyes because very funny moments like the main character falling on the floor, for example.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Ugly looks like a really interesting game. I really dig the fact that you are dealing with a couple of psychologists to make sure that everything makes sense in terms of narrative. I really like that. To me, there are two main concerns with this game, and one is in terms of audience. I've seen your market analysis and it seems quite nice, but I'm a bit concerned about whether this is an actual audience that plays multiple pieces of game that are in the same genre, and if you have done any research in regards to this. I have the feeling that maybe people play one of these games maybe once in a lifetime, but the genres that they move into usually is another one. So the question would be, have you done any research into the audience, if this is a cohesive audience that plays these kind of games repeatedly?
Yes, we know that this is a genre that it's quite challenging to be here. Anyway, we are not a low-cost game, as I said before. We are a premium game. This is traditional animation as well. And we think that we are so unique that we could achieve a good market just for the type of feeling that the target is searching.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then there is another issue with this, which is how are you going to get to that audience? And I see that the game has a lot of value put into details and into nuances, and these are things that I really enjoy a lot, but I think it's hard to promote these kind of games. I see that there are examples of successful games such as Cuphead that everybody speaks about the music, about the animation, about the style, but I think it's very tough for you to be able to convey this to an audience before they've played the game. Do you have any plans on how you will promote the game so that people get this value before they play?
Well, in this scenario, I think that the help of the publisher is going to be very important for us. We are good at making games, and we want to be focused on having the better product and the better pixel in each frame of the game. So we want, I know what the question, but I think that the publisher is going to lead this matter. We are going to help him, but we are more focused on having a very detailed product for the experience of the gamer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds reasonable. I wish you the best of luck with your launch and your publisher, and thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, teams, for the great presentations and the games you're developing. And to the experts, thank you very much again for your contributions. I'm sure they have been really, really helpful for the teams and for the audience as well. And talking about the audience, hey, you are there. Maybe you have some questions about the games or the incubation program. So you can leave any questions you have on the comment section below.
Hey, Rock, wait a minute. I have an important announcement to do. I have just been informed that Gamebcn 6 call is open. So you have until December 20th to apply. What are you waiting for? Check our website for more details, and we can wait to receive your applications.
Okay, that seems like very good news. Maybe you should be applying for Gamebcn 6. Okay, it seems the show is over, but I have one last surprise for you. Did you like the games you've seen? Are you interested? Well, what if I tell you that you can try them right now, like right now? If you go to the Gamebcn website, you can download all the demos for all the games that you've seen today. So maybe it's a good idea to just go and try them. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed as much as I did, and I hope you keep safe, stay safe, keep playing video games. See you soon.